quilting friends. Happy Feature Friday, everybody. Welcome to another week with me. I'm so glad to have you here. We are going to talk borders one last time. We are still working on that little project. And this time we are going to do borders just using regular layout boxes with edge-to-edge designs. So I am going to turn you guys around so you can see the quilt again and where I am with my robotic system so we can kind of get this finished together. So let's turn around. So here we are. I am on this inside black border, and I did quilt the bottom horizontal, and I've got the vertical all the way up on the other side here. So we are going to repeat that over here now that I've got this up here done. We're going to fill this in over here and then go across the other horizontal. So all I've been doing is putting in pattern boxes and this edge-to-edge design and just manipulating it so it looks mirror image from side to side. It's just a very simple process, and hopefully this will give you just one more idea of how you can do this in your borders. So let's look at what I've got on my screen. Once again, this is the other side of my quilt, so I'm going to just repeat this on this side for you guys. I'm going to go to my layout screen, and I am going to create a pattern box. So I'm going to add a pattern box here and set my points. So for me, my points are going to be kind of where this pattern ended. I actually divided this border in half because that's what my table space could take. So I'm going to create a pattern box from where this pattern ended to the end here of this border. So I'm just going to set my points doing that. I'm going to go a little bit over just so that I include the very end of this design. So I'm going to hit my plus sign and set all 4 points of this border area. So I'm up on the corner, and I will set my point. I'm going to move over slightly to the edge of that border and hit my plus sign. And then I'm going to come back down to where this design ended here and hit my check mark. And now I've got this little layout box, which is that portion of the border. I'm going to go into my patterns, and my little pattern that I've been using is highlighted. So I'm going to hit my check mark, and there is the pattern. I'm going to go to my repeat because I did a double repeat of this. So I'm going to go to my horizontal and repeat that so that I've got 2 horizontals. And now I am going to rotate this. So I'm going to go to my rotate feature and hit my 45 twice so that it flips around so it's in the direction that I want. Move this back so you get a better view of the screen. And now I'm going to go to auto scale, so this scales it into my box. So I'm going to go to my scale feature and hit my auto scale. And that's gonna chunk it in there for me. I'm gonna make it just a little bit wider. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is move my needle so I get my crosshairs lined up right here where my last design ended, because then I might need to adjust my pattern, because what I'm planning on doing is starting the new pattern with the little green dot here on my screen where this pattern's going to start. I want that little green dot start to line up right here where this pattern ended. So I'm going to do that by lining up my crosshairs. So I've got my needle hovering right over where that pattern ended. And so I can see here on my screen, that's where my crosshairs are. So now I'm going to use my little move functions here with my nodes, and I'm just going to move my design up a little bit and over a little bit. This is very touchy to get it into place on top of that crosshairs so that they both start at the same exact place. I might need to move my move function. I'm gonna use my move function so that I can just tippy tap it. There we go, and up just one. That's a pretty good line up there so that they'll be kind of on top of each other. I want them to line up so that the end of this pattern is the beginning of this pattern so that they're kind of continuous and they flow together. So that is kind of the way I want that to look, and make sure that everything is the way I need that to be. And I'm just gonna double check for a minute from one side to the next and make sure that I have my hearts facing in the direction that I want, and everything's gonna match kind of mirror image. So that looks good. So I am gonna go ahead and stitch this out. So I've got that filled in. It's gonna stitch starting where my pattern laid off and go all the way up to the very top of this border. And that is how I'm gonna fill this in. I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys on hold for a second, and I'll come back when it's stitched out. All right, so we are all stitched out and have this border filled in up to the end. So now we're gonna go ahead and set our border across our horizontal here. So I am going to set my pattern box from the seam that I have here in my fabric to the seam that I have here in the other end. Remember that we're just setting basic pattern boxes and putting edge to edge designs in here, so it doesn't bother me because of the method that I'm doing, that I've got my patterns ending here and that they aren't linking. If you want to do a method where your patterns link, then you'll have to do a different method, whether you use point to point like we did on the other border where it links around the corner, or whether you use the method where we did on our first video with borders, where we filled in this way where everything linked up. This is just a basic, let's put pattern boxes in and edge to edge designs, and if you get them to link up, that's extra great, but this pattern isn't going to link up because of the way it's formed, and I'm okay with that. So it's all about decisions making, what you're okay with and what you aren't. Once again, there's no wrong way or right way to fill in your borders. It's what you're comfortable with and what you're happy with. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my layout screen again and add a pattern box, and we're going to create our pattern box for this whole edge here. So I'm going to start at the top here and hit my point and move down and hit my point. I'm going to bring my machine over to the next corner and hit my point and move up and hit my check mark. And now I've got my horizontal box here. I'm going to go ahead and add my pattern, which is still my a lot of hearts string here. I'm going to add that. And I did 3 repeats of this on the other side, so I'm going to add 3 repeats. And I'm going to go ahead and hit my scale and auto fill this in here, and that looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this out. And there we are, you guys, a quick and simple border all stitched out just by using pattern layout boxes and edge-to-edge designs. So now you've seen 3 different methods for filling in borders or even sashings. So you choose the method that works best for you, or you might even find something else that works. It's a great way to fill in your quilt tops using your robotic system. There's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's just the way that you find works best. I have shown you 3 different methods, but there may be something that you have found that works great in filling in your borders or sashings. So if you've got a good idea, feel free to share. Thanks so much. Bye.